Hello everybody, welcome to this epic drawing tutorial. I know, super high quality mic, but let's get drawing. So these are some tips that I use when I draw. One, I think it's best to start with sketches. So, let's do a really quick sketch. Okay, so now that we have finished our really quick sketch, since we used the black, and it'd be like, if we go over, I'm gonna grab the calligraphy, okay, all depends. I'm using, if you don't use Procreate, just, substitute these with whatever you do use. So, although the black kind of blends in with the black, just turn the opacity down on the first layer. And if you can't do that, then I recommend getting an eraser and just turning the opacity down on that. And it basically works the same way. But if you can, I would recommend just turning the opacity down on the layer. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start lining our character. Small lines. Now, while they're good for more detailed pictures, I personally like to use a more bolded line. I like to use like a 20 for things like this, but the closer up the pictures get, the bolder I think they should get. Again, if they're more detailed, then you can use a smaller thing. But this is just like, how I like to do it. Okay, so now that we're done with the liner, we can just get rid of the sketch. And so, I know in a past video I gave a shading tip where you put the color behind the line art and then you pick the darker color and do that. Now, why that's kind of good for like a beginner thing, this is what I do now. I got the color and I fill in the thing, so let's fill in everything. But now this is how you can shade it without having to get multiple different colors. Go up, get a black pen, and then turn the opacity down. I would recommend going down to like 35, but you can like check what it is, like which ones you like, but I like 35 to like 25 or something, so let's go like 29. And then, you just draw over it, and this is really like basically the same thing, but you don't have to switch between colors. So it's a much easier way to shade than the last time I gave a shading tip. But this is how I shade now. I don't do what I used to do. Okay, so now that we've done the shading and we've done the coloring, I'm a person that likes to merge things together, but most of the time, if you're making a good drawing, a professional drawing, you don't want to merge things that much. But since we're just practicing, I'm just gonna merge it. But now what we can do is, let's say we want to add some light to our character. Now let's say there is, we're not going to draw a light source, but let's say he's outside. And, the main light source I would say that's outside, is the sun, right? That makes sense. So, we don't have to draw the sun, but we know the sun, let's say the sun is going to be in this direction. You can just put something there to remind you where the light direction is. But I would recommend just getting rid of it later. And so now, again, if you're drawing in Procreate like I am, go to Airbrush and just get Soft Brush. If you don't have that, honestly, I'm not sure which program you use. If you want, you can do the same thing as shading, but just pick a different color. But if you have the option to do what I'm doing, I would recommend doing it. Turn the opacity down on the brush. Now, right now, it's a pretty small brush. Let's turn it down to let's turn it down to 16. And let's turn the, size of it to 6. Now, so the sun's coming from up there. Actually, let's turn up the opacity. Let's turn it to 26. So now what we can do is now there's multiple ways we can do this. We could go up here, we could do this, and then we could come in and erase it, but that's a lot harder to do. So this is a little Procreate tip. You go to your drawn character, you hit select. Now you can just start doing that. I think it's a very, very easier way to do it. I'm not very great at this. Let's just do his head. Yeah, so there. And if you decide that that's a little bit too, you can just change whatever you want for the size of the opacity. But we're just gonna do that, because that's good. So that doesn't, in my opinion, that doesn't look great. But now we can just get rid of this thing that we put over here, and we can add in a background. Now, you don't have to use backgrounds that often. But if you do, you don't have to always have a drawn background, he's got this thing. But what we could do instead is we could do this. And there's multiple things on how to make a good background. You can get a color close to this. Like close to yellow is orange. So let's do a lighter orange. So now we're going to do like a little wavy thing. We're going to do like this. So now that we've done that, I recommend turning down the opacity on that too. But that just kind of adds a bit more of a pattern there. And now you'll notice it kind of looks weird. It looks like he's just sitting on nothing. So you can just kind of change how he's sitting. And then we're going to do the same shading thing again. We're going to turn down the opacity. And now we're just going to draw his shadow back here. Let's say, let's see what his shadow might look like. It might look like that sort of thing. But you'll notice that doesn't look great, So you can redo that however you want. It really doesn't matter. But, that sort of stuff you can have freedom with. But for the meantime, let's just draw him with that sort of shadow. Oh, wrong. I did that wrong. There we go. That looks bad, but, beggars can't be choosers. There we go. That's better looking. But again, we have to turn down the opacity to make it look better. Okay, so those are like good drawing tips for how to draw. And if you animate like I do, it's a good way to make videos, But now I'm going to show you how I do my animations. So, if you do this on Procreate, this is what I do. If you don't have these features, that's totally fine. You can do this however you want, but this is just how I do it. I can either animate in Procreate, which I do that sometimes. You go to Canvas, you hit Animation Assist. Now, see, you can go through all the layers you have. So now we have this layer, but let's get rid of this layer. Well, we're just going to do a very simple thing. We're just going to make him go back and forth like he's in an earthquake. So it's just like, this doesn't look very great, but this is just like, let's say there's an earthquake or a very loud noise happening. Oh, he's shaking, But that's not a good sort of, example. But there's a lot of different things you can do. And you can animate things a lot better. You can redraw things. Because you'll notice it has the onion skin in the back. And that's very useful. I use that a lot. But for mainly, I don't always use animation in Procreate. Now let me show you what I normally do. So what you do is I turned off the background. Now we're going to hit share. We're going to hit PNG. Okay, so I just saved it to my camera roll, to my photos. So now we're going to go over to flip a clip. Okay, so now that we're in flip a clip, we're just going to do this. We're just going to keep this white normally. That's what I do. Doesn't matter what we're naming this. We're just going to name this test. And so now it doesn't, the frames per second thing, it changes back and forth. If I want something to be pretty fluid, I keep it at like 20 to 15, so like maybe 18 or something, And you want to keep the canvas size the one that it immediately sets you to. So we're going to hit create project. Now here's where it gets kind of complicated. You want to keep it at full screen. You want to go to add image. And so you want to pick photo library. Okay, so I picked my photo and my character comes in just the same. That's why you have to keep it at full screen, because that's going to keep it in the same position as you put it in. And so now, you know, you can like draw in Procreate the different poses he makes and put them together. Like, as an example, I'll go to this one that I made. Like, see, I made his mouth go up and down for that. So I just got a photo of him with his mouth closed and a photo of him with his mouth open, and then I just put it all in, and I just like put it all together. Thank you for watching this video. If it was helpful, then tell me, and you know, if it wasn't and you have more questions, tell me and I might make another one. You know, if this wasn't very clear and you're like, wait, but how do I do this? Then tell me in the comments, and if I get enough that are saying things like that, then I might do another one. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.